Yeah, hello everyone. So, good morning and good evening. So, in this class, we are going to discuss about the Angular form validation. So, generally, we discuss multiple ways form validation, like in JavaScript form validation we discuss, and jQuery form validation we discuss. So now, how to do a form validation with Angular? So it's having a different approach. So let me open a notepad. Okay. So in this, we are going to discuss the Angular form validation. Let's say Angular form validations. So we can perform uh, a form validation in two ways. One is template-driven form validation, and other one is reactive form validation. Okay. So template-driven form validation, reactive form validation. So what is template-driven form validation is? Uh, One second. Let me write here. In template-driven form validation, we are going to write a huge code. I mean, the complete application logic, validation logic, we are going to write so huge validations logic in the template. Template in the sense the HTML file, and very less code in uh, the component specific TS file. Okay, that's called template driven. So HTML, we're gonna write a huge lot of validations. Okay, this is used for a simple forms, not for the complex forms. And uh, but here unit testing is bit complex because here unit testing cannot be done actually because if you are writing a source code in HTML, we can't test that HTML logic, right? If it is there in a TypeScript file, then we can write a unit testing and we can test it. Okay, so that's a small limitation of template driven. And there is other one is reactive form validation. So reactive means it's not having any connection with React.js or something. So this is a reverse of this thing. So huge validation logic in a uh, components, so component TS file, and less logic in a HTML template. And this is suitable for complex forms. And also here unit testing is perfectly possible. Is possible. Okay, so this is the two differences. So first let's start with template driven, and then we'll discuss the reactive form validation. So before we do this, I have created the Angular application. So I've also started the server, and this is Angular application. I also connected with Bootstrap, and I have opened this on the browser. It is like this. Let me modify this, and then we discuss the template driven form validation. So in this SRC, let me go to app components. We don't need all this. We need only one. Uh, that's the router. So application router. Let's say router outlets. Yep. Here, what I want is I need to create some set of components. Let me create a new folder, new directory, components, and I create another folder. That's services. Okay. So the plan here is I want to create a set of components. So what components required is because form validation concept means we are not just only deal with the form. We need to send data to the backend, and we'll cross verify what data sent to server, and also we get the response back from the server and display that validation messages on the screen. Okay, so from it's a complete end-to-end form validation. So let's start. So first of all, I need some components. So what components required here is I need one navbar components. Okay, just for navigation, and I need enrollment component, that is for template driven form validation, and another one is registration components, that is called for reactive form validation. Next, what else? This one and this one. Okay, as of now, these three. Fine. Let's make a home component also. This is just for home page. Okay, fine. And I need one services. In services, one service is required. Uh, or you can take two services. One is for enrollment and one is for registration. So enrollment service and registration service. Okay, two services. And also we need a server, the Express server. So we create a server also using Express.js. No database, just Express server. Fine. Let me create the components. So back to components. Right click, open in terminal. Yep, here. So I can just say nggc navbar. Next, nggc enrollments. Next, nggc registration. Last one, nggc, sorry, gc home. Okay, so components created. Let me go to services. So this way services. So nggs enrollment service. Yeah, one last one, registration. Okay, done. So let me check. There are some set of components and services. Fine. Now let me write a navbar. Let's say app navbar. So let me go to HTML. Yeah, it's still indexing. Okay. So let me write a navbar here, but I want to use Bootstrap. Go to Bootstrap. Let me go to documentation and components and navbar. Let me grab this navbar, go back here and paste. And small changes here. I don't need this in here. I want to keep them in a container. So one container in that, keep them. And we don't need the form. We don't need these many LIs and span not required. And same navbar dark, bg dark. And the heading is going to be Angular form validation. Okay. So let's make a router link to slash, and here let's make a router link, sorry, router link to slash enroll. And what I do is this is template driven form. Okay, so one other thing is copy paste it. So this I gotta be register, and this is reactive form. So both I want to show in a same application, but different URLs. So let's say, yeah, I got it. Let me give a little gap. I mean, some space. PX2 and PX2. Fine. So looks good. Yep. So let me give I mean, the configuration of the paths also. Let me go to um, registration service. No, routing module. Yeah, let's make the routing here. So path is going to be empty. Okay, for empty path, I'm gonna go for home components, and if it is for enroll, I wanna go for enrollment components. Next, if it is for register, I go to um, uh, registration component. Okay, fine. We have three things. So let me write something for them. First, home. So for home, I go to services. In the home HTML, I delete this. Let's make some basic information. So let me write a section. So section with the class called um, P3. In that one container, one row, single column. Let's make some H3 with the class called display 3. Let's say Angular form validation. So I write a paragraph tag with a class called H1 or H2. I write like this, cell number 1, and let's say one span tag. So here give a class called text primary. I display like a what is this, template driven. Let's make a form validation outside. Okay, so same story. Let me copy that and paste. Let's make cell number 2, and let's say text secondary. It's a reactive form validation. Okay, so let's say, yeah, I got like this, template driven form validation and reactive form validation. Okay, looks good. And below this, let me write some text. lorem 40 tab and be with the class called lead lorem 50 tab. Okay, so this is the home page, and just to highlight the colors, let me go to template driven form. Let me design the form. So go to um, enrollment.html. Let me design the form first. Yeah, here let me write a section with a class called p3. In that one container, spelling wrong, container, one row called md4 of file. Okay, let me write a card header, and the card body. Let me keep it in the center, margin auto, and fine. Here you can give some gap in the top, margin top 3. Okay, let me write bg primary text white text center. Inside, I'll write h3 enrollments for Angular 9. Okay, and below in the card body, I'll write one form. So in that one division with the class called form group, in that just input type equal to um, text, the class called form control, and give the placeholder. Let's take a username. Yeah, copy this. So username, email. This is gonna be the email. Next, this is the password, and this is going to be the password. And one other one is, I want to make one select box for courses. Let's make one select with the class called form control. Inside I write some options, an empty option first. Let's take a select, sorry, select select a course, and yep, fine, looks good. Select a course. Yeah, you can select the course over here. Hmm. Okay, fine. So I have to make a submit button also. Let's make here. Let's make a division. Uh, let's say input type is equal to submit, and value goes to enroll, and give the class btn minus primary. Okay, fine. That's enrollment form. Fine. Reactive form we'll see afterwards after we finish, and then we'll design this. Just leave as of now. So we have Angular form, this thing and this thing. Yeah, looks good. And now here we have to validate this particular form using a template driven approach. So first of all, one small change. I don't have any options here. These options I need to make it dynamically from the component TS file. So let's do that dynamic options. So let me close all other things not required. Let me open our TS file. Yeah, here I create public courses of string array is equal to one array. Inside we have Angular 9 and Node.js and React.js and Express.js. Yeah, some four. And let's make one more one. MongoDB. Fine. What is this? Okay, it's because of TS lint. Let me disable quickly. TS lint. Yeah, here editor inspections TypeScript TS lint disable, apply, and okay. Yeah, fine. Now these courses I want to display in my this select box. So what I do is here, let me write an option. The value is empty. Yeah, let me write a loop here. Star ng for let course of courses. So each course value I'm going to display the course here, and this also I'm going to be the course. Okay, fine. Let me check once. Yes, I have a courses. Okay, looks good. Fine. Uh, Lastly, one more thing I wanted is I need to uh, for highlight the fields. I need to give some nice colors. Okay, so what colors means? I show you. I want to give some two classes to highlight red color and green color for wrong field and the successful field. So I go to style.css once. I'll give my own styles once, and then I tell you what to do here. So first of all, I need to add one class name, that is dot is minus form minus valid. If the form valid, what to do? Okay, if you want to know that, just make this class here statically is form valid. Okay, so let me check what is that I'm going to apply. Mm, yeah, let's check. I want to apply border is going to be just one pixel solid lime green color. Okay, and I want to give some background color also. Background color lime, not lime, light green if it is success, and not this much light green. I'll do one. Okay, this is enough. Copy, and let me also give some border left some 10 pixels solid lime green. Okay, looks good. So this is what I want to highlight if it is successful field. And let me give another class called dot is form invalid. You can use bootstrap classes like is valid, is invalid, but that's old, quite older. I want to try something new. So is invalid. I give some dark red color, and this is gonna be the light salmon, and this is gonna be the dark red. So if you wanna check, you just change this to is form uh, invalid. It's not there. 1 minute. Let me copy this. Not if is. Okay, looks good, but this is too much contrast color in the background. Let me change that to light. Okay, fine. So this is what I want. Let's make it 12 pixels and 12 pixels. And yeah, looks good. And one more is text success. I want to make color lime green, and it's important. And dot text danger color. I want it to be a dark red, and it is important. Okay, so these are my custom styles. I have given the global style.css that located in here near to the src folder. You can see style.css, and there I pasted. Fine. Now stories. Let me close that. Fine. So forget about this class as of now. We will add dynamically. So first of all, the plan is how to start with the form validation first. So before you start form validation, I need to attach these fields with the backend. I mean, I need to make a two-way data binding with the form fields data and the backend TS file. So how you make two-way data binding is you can use ng model for each field. But for ng model, you need to import one separate module. That's a forms module. Let me import that. Go to app module. Let me import forms module. Let me attach the forms module to the imports. Okay, fine. So I have to use individual field has to connect with the backend data. So instead of declaring an individual property here, what I do is I take just one model class, and that class fields I want to attach here. So what is my plan here is I will create one a separate class. Is a new way again. I create a separate class. It's called as enrollment class. So in this, I create a export class enrollment. So I just make a fields in this, and same fields I want to attach here. So what fields? Username, email, password. So let's take a username of type string, email of type string, password of type string, and quotes of type string. I want to make a constructor. This constructor is having a username, email, password, and quotes. Fine. So this dot username. Sorry, it's a dot. This dot username is equal to username. This dot email is equal to email. This dot password is equal to password. This dot quotes is equal to quotes. Fine. So I create a model class. So this object I create in my TypeScript file. I'm gonna write like this. I write public enrollment is equal to new enrollment. I create an empty object. So here I create empty. I have to pass some fields. So I make all empty fields. Sorry, um, email is empty, password empty, course empty. Okay, all empty fields, and these all empty fields I want to connect to the my HTML. So how to connect them is using ng model. So let's do that here. Okay, let me write ng model is equal to enrollment dot username is connected. Next, the same thing I need to copy. So for email, so enrollment dot email, and for password, let's say enrollment dot password. Next, here, so enrollment dot quotes. Okay, so I have attached all the fields with ng model to data binding, but I want to see the fields data also. I think this is not coming. Is that not empty? Yes, its value is empty. And what I have taken, course empty, right? Okay. Why placeholder is missing? Value empty. Enrollment dot codes also empty. If it is empty, it has to come, right? Okay. Is it double quotes? Not like that. Um, okay. We'll see that. I'll do one thing. I'll just make some my name. Is it connected? It's not connected. Oh, okay. Got it. Actually, why my name is not connected is one more rule we forgot. That rule is, I think you might have got the error. The rule is you have to give the name field, correct? Yes, correct. If ng model you are using, you have to use the name attribute. That's a wrong. We have not made it. Let's make a name attribute also for all. Um, because we know this point. If you're using ng model, we have to use the name attribute. Let's say name is equal to username, and here name is equal to email, and here name is equal to password, and here name is equal to quotes. Okay, now check. Yes, all working, and my name also come because that's what I have given in the TS file, but I don't need that. I want to make it empty. Fine. Now, okay, we know this um, two window binding with NG model. That's fine. From now, form validation starts. So for to perform a form validation on template driven form, so every logic of form validation, mostly 99% you write in the template itself. Okay. Now I want to see the form data. What was the form data um, which is there here? If you want to see the form data, there is a um, one directive you have to connect. Uh, that is, you can give some template reference variable. Let's take a enrollment form is equal to, there is ng form. Okay, so what is this ng form is? I tell you. So uh, whenever you import the forms module on this root components, as soon as you import the forms module, so Angular start looking at your forms, and it is going to track all the forms with a special directive called ng form. So if you catch the ng form with a variable, so that you can see what was that tracking. Okay, so if you want to know that, just see enrollment form dot value. I want display in a JSON format. So let's see what was that form contains, this ng form contains. Let's see here. See, the form contains is tracking all the fields: username, email, password, and the codes. So whenever I'm typing, see, it is updating over there. So it is tracking all the fields, password, and the codes, Angular, Node, these things. Yes, it is tracking. That's fine. Okay, that's one part. After that, I want to track each and every field. What is the field? Is suppose you have enter some data. You may enter, you may not enter, or without filling this field, you go to the next field also, right? So when to give or when to highlight the fields with an error message. So when to highlight the fields is, they have given a set of classes. Uh, I tell you those classes now. If you want to know the classes attached to this each field, you can use one template reference variable here. I'll use hash username. Okay, so this username I wanna print it here. Let's say username dot class. I think it's a class name of type JSON. Okay, so let's see what is this class names attached to this each input field. See, so this is having, each input field is having a collection of classes. One is form control. The form control as what we given as a form control. Along with that, there are some other classes like ng untouched, pristine, and ng valid. So what are these? In Angular, it is having this classes. If you want to understand these classes, let me go to official documentation. Angular form. Okay, Angular template driven forms. Yes. Okay. If I go to template driven form, they have given a set of classes. I show you somewhere here. Yeah, set of classes. What are those classes? Is, see, the control. Control means the each text box or password box, whatever it's called, control. The control has been visited or not. Okay, so it can be possible, right? You may visit, you may not visit. Okay, or you may enter some data, you may not enter some data, or what do you call, the data can be valid, cannot be valid. So like that, there are 6 situations they have captured. What are those? Is, say, the control has been visited. If it is visited true, it will be touched. If you are not visited, it's gonna be untouched. Next, control value has changed. So after visiting, you may change the value or you may not change the value. If it is changed, this class will be displayed like ng dirty, and if it is not changed, it will be ng pristine. So by default is pristine. If you change it, then it will become dirty. Next, control value is valid or invalid. So if you change it, if it is valid field as per the form validation rule, it display valid, otherwise it shows invalid. So you may touch or may not touch. After touching, you may change or may not change. It can be valid, cannot be valid. So these many classes has given. Let me test once. Here username, let me refresh once. Yeah, username untouched. Okay, let me discuss on this untouched. I have not touched this. Now I keep a cursor. I pass the cursor to the next one. What happened? Oh, it's not done. See, now it is made. It just changed to ng touched. It means you have touched the field. Next, I'm typing something. See, it's become ng dirty. It means it was pristine. It was changed to ng dirty, and it is showing like valid um, because we are not made any condition for what you call any validation logic we have not written. So let me write something called required field. So required validation. So validation logic also we write here required. Let's make required for all. Copy. This also required and this also required. This is also required. So all are required fields. Fine. So it is ng invalid. Now it is valid. If I delete this and I enter, see, now it just says that ng invalid because it is a required field, but you are not enter any field. Okay. So it is touched, you have changed and removed, and it is invalid. Right. So based on these classes, you can highlight the fields dynamically. And one more thing, along with these classes, along with these individual classes, there are some same properties available in the ng model. I show you those properties directly. How those properties available is using ng model. A simple trick is you can just attach this template, template reference variable to another field called ng model. Same like we made the form attached to the ng form, right? So this represents the whole form control form data. Same like that, each form control data you want to know, you have to attach, you have to catch the ng model with a template reference variable. So inside you have a separate properties are there. Those properties will be like this is not this one, this touched. Okay, let's take touched. So name dot touched. So let's say it is false because you are not touched. If I enter something and I pass it, so now it is become true, means it is touched. Okay, like that. And if I say invalid, now check. So first time it is invalid means it is true because it is invalid. Why invalid? Because you're not entering any data. If I pass through, see, if I enter something, it's become false, means invalid false. I'm doing in reverse way. Let's make valid. Yes, let's check. Is that username is valid or not? Let's check. Now it is. Is it valid? Let me refresh. Yes, it is invalid because I made a required attribute field. So that's why it is invalid. When I'm typing something, yes, it is now valid field because you enter something inside. Okay, so based on these properties, I want to highlight the classes. So the plan is, don't need this. I want to highlight dynamically. You can use property binding. So class dot is form valid. So when you call a form is valid, It means if the form is valid for certain condition, I want to add a dynamic class for the form control is form valid. Thing is username dot um, um, valid, right? Let's start with invalid first. When it is invalid, username dot invalid, and also username dot touched. So if it is touched but you're not enter anything, that's called invalid. Okay, so let's check. If I keep a cursor, I pass the cursor, see you get this colors as we have applied previously. Fine. Next, when it is valid is if username is valid and touched, then form valid will be applied automatically for the class. Now check. So if I keep a cursor, I pass the cursor, I got like this. If I'm typing something, yes, I got it, this one. But if I keep a cursor, it's becoming like bluish. I don't need that. I'll do one thing. I make all my fields, all my styles to be important styles, so that that is not going to override with any other. Okay, let's check. Yes, looks good. Now, if you enter something, it is valid. So not only just highlight the field, I want to display the message as well. So how you display the message here is, you can write a small tag with a class called text success. But for you made something called looks good, and but put what condition? Condition is going to be star ng, sorry, star ng if username dot valid and username dot touched. Okay, if it is touch the field and it is valid, then I display the success color. Looks good message. Now let's check once. I just keep a cursor, I pass it red color when I'm typing something. Yes, I got a message called looks good. This is how you validate the forms. But I want to make some more detailed validation. Like I made only required validation. Let's make the number of characters and all. So you can write a pattern, because as I told, template driven means you have to write complete application form validation logic in the template itself. So we can only one choice, that is pattern. So you can use a pattern for every field. You can use a pattern only. So I write a to z, capital A to z, 0 to 9 and plus. So no special characters allowed, only these characters allowed. But how to get this data? How to get the data of this is, this pattern related and required related data will be stored in rs one property. Let me write proper data now. Let's see once. How you write if you have any pattern matching validation files, you can use like this: star ng if username dot invalid and username dot touched. Yes, I write a small tag with the class called text danger, and I display required username. Okay, but when this required username comes is when you're violating the required uh, validation. So ngf username dots, there is something called errors dot required, and so this errors is having a required property, which means it is violating the required field validation, and the same this thing required field validation and form is invalid, then I display that message. And if it is violating the pattern, if it is violating the pattern, I will display a message called No special characters. No special characters. So let's check once. If I see required username, when I'm typing something, it looks good. But when I enter some this thing, so no special characters allowed. Okay, looks good like this. So you have to have handle everything with the pattern only in this approach. Okay, fine. We have made it for username. Let's make that same thing for email and password. Um, Same story. So what was that is here hash email is equal to ng model, and we need to add a dynamic classes. Same like this. Copy, and here dynamic classes like email dot invalid, email dot touch, email dot touch, email dot valid, and also these things. Let me copy them. Yeah, let me paste. Okay, but for email pattern, I wanted, I just go to Google search. Let's take email pattern. You can Google search about email because oh, there are multiple. Mm, a huge email pattern. Yeah, you can just search for one any good pattern for email. I think it's not showing here. Oh, email specifically one website is there. This much. Oh God, great. You can just find out a good pattern and you can add over here. But I'm not adding any pattern for email. I just show only for username. So if no pattern, then these are all not required. This is not required. Yeah. So this is gonna be what email. This is email, 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 and email, 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 email. Sorry, email. So let's make required email. Fine. Same like that. I need to add for password. Let's say hash password is equal to ng model, and you can add dynamic classes here. This is gonna be the password dot invalid touched invalid. Let me give the division. This is password. So password invalid touched errors. So I just make required password. Fine. One last thing is for course. So hash course is equal to ng model, and add dynamic classes. So I add dynamic classes here. Is gonna be the course dot invalid, course dot valid, course dot touch, and the dynamic messages. Yeah, here. Um, this is gonna be the course, 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 course. So required course. Okay, so same thing what we have done for the username, I have also done for all the fields. So because it's a huge code and in template, because this called template driven form validation. But this is very rarely we use, and we use mostly reactive form validation. That is more, uh, I mean, easy one, and that's most preferable. Fine. So now let's check, and here see username, all fields empty. So when I'm start typing, I don't need to display this data also. What is that? I don't need to display the form actually. Delete. Yeah, no check. Okay, required username, password, and all. Let's make enter something at gmail.com. I have not applied any pattern for email. You can just search and add it as a pattern attribute, and you can make a I mean error message also agree accordingly, and you can select something Angular. Yes, everything looks good, and click on enroll. But when I click on enroll, what to do is I need to submit the form data to the server. You want to submit form data to server, you need to have a server and make the form handling also here. So let's start with the client only. When I click on this button, form will submit. So what I do is for the form, I'll make a ng submit as an event, form submission event. So I want to call submit enroll method. Let me create this in my enrollment file. So public submit enroll. Okay, so here I have to submit the form data. But when to submit the form data is if the form data is not empty, then I submit. I make like this if enrollment, sorry, this dot enrollment dot username is not is equal to empty, and this dot enrollment dot email is not is equal to empty, and this dot enrollment dot password is not is equal to empty, and if sorry this dot enrollment dot course is not is equal to empty, then you have to submit the form data. Otherwise don't submit the form data. Okay, but to submit the form data we need to have a service and all the calls. So let's make here in my services enrollment service. Yeah, here I have dependent on HTTP module, but for that we need to import the HTTP clients module in the app module that we know. Let's add a HTTP clients module, and it's imported. Now go to service. It has to dependent on HTTP client of type HTTP client module. Yeah, so after that you can make something called uh, enroll. Okay, let's make public enroll as a method. Yeah, here you have to make a data URL. Let's make a server side URL or just URL is equal to, let's say, HTTP colon slash slash 127.0.0.1 colon 3000, and I want to make URL is going to be the enroll. Fine. And for enroll is a post request. Okay, if it is a post request, you have to submit the form data also. Enrollment, the whole object, I can send it, and what I do is let's use this dot underscore HTTP client dot post to the URL, and also the enrollment dot pipe. Okay, so the back what you get in the uh, typecasting. So I just use any. If you want, you can change this latter observable of type any. Okay, so service also ready, but I have to return the service ready for enrollment. So let me call the enrollment and substitute enrollment object to the service. So from the component. So you want to substitute means you need to dependent on the service. Let's say private enroll service of type enrollment service. Fine. So what you can make underscore also. Anything you can make. Just normal variable it is. Here I have to create an object then, right? Enrollment objects. So let enrollment is equal to an object. Actually, why to create again? This enrollment already checked, no? Send the directly enrollment to the server, right? Yes, best. This dot enrollment service dot enroll, and what you have to send is this dot enrollment. That's what only we have checked. Same object I send back because we are having all the fields. Okay, so this is gonna enroll to the service, and that service is making call to server, but we don't have a server code. Let's quickly make a server side code. Here I create a folder called directory server. So in this server I create server means you have to write complete express.js logic. Let me write quickly. So we need to have express.js means we need to have one package.json. So right click, open in terminal. Let's say npm init. Now backend code. It asks for server package version description. Let's make all empty. Fine. One small mistake I did in package.json main file is I say server.js. Okay, fine. Let's create a file call. Let's create a JavaScript file server.js. But before that, we need to have Express.js and all other modules. Let me install those modules. So npm install express hyphen save. Okay, so let me install body parser because you need to handle the form data at backend. Body parser hyphen save, and then we need to install the CORS because cross browser acceptance. So npm install minus CORS hyphen save. So three things required. One is Express, one is body parser, and one is CORS. So all installed. Let me create a structure. I mean server startup logic. So let me say constant express is equal to require express, and let's say constant app is equal to you have to initialize the express like this, and the constant host name is equal to 127.0.0.1, and the constant port number is equal to some 3000. Next, so app.get, this normal get request for cross check. Let's make the slash, and I make a request listener. So you make a request and response, but I think Express library has not loaded. Let me quickly load that Express library also. Go to editor, not editor, yeah, language and frameworks, JavaScript libraries, Express. You have to connect. No MongoDB required now. Let's only Express enable. Yes, it's gone. Yeah. So let's say response dot send. I display message. Just say h2 slash h2. I want to say just say so. Welcome to Express server for form validation. Okay. So let's make the post request also. But before I make a post request, we need to configure the body parser and CORS. So let me import body parser is equal to require body parser, and let me configure body parser, but I'm not sure that lines. Just a body parser, go to body parser. Yeah, this is a body parser. So I need to handle two things. One is not this. One is JSON parser. Let me use that JSON parser and URL encoder body parser. Two things required. Let's make this as constant. This is also constant. and we have to configure them. Let's make a comment, configure body parser. So let's make a app.use, so JSON parser, and also URL encoder body parser. Fine. I need to configure the cards as well. So let's say constant cards is equal to require cards, and let me configure the cards also. So app.use, let me add cards. Sorry, it's like this, cards, done. So now setup ready, and let me handle the form data. So let's make enrollment form handling. So let's say app.post. I'm not using any router or something, directly I'll write here app.post. So what's the URL? I make what we made there, enroll. Yeah. So same thing I write enroll for the post request, because we are making a post from the client to this URL. That's what I'm doing, post to the end URL, and one handler, that's a request, and also a response. Yeah, I need to get the form data. So let's enrollment form is equal to just say request dot body. This actually contains the form data. I just want to do the console log just to cross check what form data sent to server, enrollment form. And as a response, I want to send you some successful response. So response dot status I'll send as some 200 dot JSON. I'm gonna send some JSON response like an object. In that success message uh, is going to be something called enrollment success. Okay. So what I have done is whenever you submit a post request, I just catch the form data. I print the form data, and as you can write extra logic to send to server. That's I'm not writing here, and I send as a response, a successful response with an object stating that success is enrollment success. So this I have to catch from the client and display this data on my client page on the browser. That's the reason, because I need to make end-to-end form validation. So this I have to catch it from the uh, client Angular. So it's done. So very stop. Service has made the request and server has done this. And here, oh, one more thing, app dot listen to port number and host name, and one request listener. So let's say console dot log off Backtech Express server is started, http / host name. So host name colon port number. Okay, let me start the server. So open terminal. Let's say ng. Okay, let me configure that here in the package.json better as a start script. Let's say nodemon space app.js, so that you can use the npm start as a command. So let's say npm start, enter. So it's starting the server. Yes, it is started. So server started and up and running, and it is waiting for the request. Yes, let me submit the form data to the server. Let's check. I have a form here, and the backend is here. Let's see. When you click on enroll, right? I think we have made the click on enroll button also. Here ng submit. Yes. If I submit the form data, it go to enrollment this function, and here it is sending to service, and from the service sending to the backend. Okay, let's try that now. Anyway, we have tested these things. I make username Naveen, email naveen@gmail.com, some dummy password, and I select Node.js and click on enroll. Wait, what happened? It's not reach. Something problem. No error. If no error, it's not submit the form also. Um, server no console log. So somewhere something went wrong. 1 second. Actually, if you click on enroll, I'll do one thing. May refresh once. Enrollment.ts. This is the function, right? I'll make an alert. Alert just submit enroll. So this dot enrollment is an object of enrollment. It's okay. It's a class object. Can we send like that? Enrollment. This dot enrollment to service, and it's got enrollment that I substitute as a post. That only I want to read data. Is everything correct? 127.001 3000 enroll, and the server also enroll. Everything looks good. Okay, let's see. Let me get the alert or not. See this dot enrollment dot username. Not empty, not empty, not empty, not empty. Yep. Let's check. Refresh. I think it's done. So when I type my name, when I click on enroll, yes, I got alert. It means it is came here, and from there, I click on OK. It has to send to the service, and from the service, we need to get the data. Form data had not come. Means something wrong in the server. Mm, JSON parser, encoded parser, app.post slash enroll. Everything is correct. Why data not sent to server? Enroll. Let me test the backend first. If backend is success, and we'll think on a client. Let me test the backend manually with Insomnia software. The URL is going to be this. Okay, it is open. Let me open new request. Some enrollments. It's a post request. Create. This is a URL, and I have to send a form data like this. What fields are there? Fields will be yeah, these fields. Username, email, password, codes. Username, my name, username, email. Let's say my name at gmail.com. Password. Okay, some password, and codes. Angular 9. If I send yes, success enrollment, it means server is working and some problem with the client only. Enrollment HTML, ng submit. This okay, ng submit, submit enroll. It is going here actually, and alert is working. Enrollment dot username. I want to see is that not empty or anything else dot value or what. Not like that, just name only. Mm, this dot enrollment. Um, Let me go to service, and in the service, can I make a console log? Console.logo. I am in enroll service. Let me check once. Let me open a browser console. Okay, console ready. So let's start now. So here I say some name. Click on enroll. It's gone to the component.ts. Yes, it's gone to service also. Then it came to service also. It's made enroll also. Oh, blunder mistake actually. Mistake is you didn't make just like this. You need to make dot subscribe. Oh, sorry. This is dot subscribe. So when you subscribe, then only this functionality is going to work, right? Data, and this data we need to store with the success message. Oh, that's a blunder mistake. Okay, sorry about this. And I'll make public. What was that? Something success message empty. I want to attend the success message here. So this dot success message is equal to data. So what data we are sending from the server, this object is going to attach to my here. Data comes successfully attached here. Okay. So let me see that data. See, now data has come. Okay, that's a problem. One minute, I'll show you one more time. But I don't need that alert not required. Yeah, just check. Nothing empty. We don't need this console log. Let me open a server log. Yeah, this is a server log. Let's see. I type John. So John at gmail.com, and this is going to be some password. He select no React.js and then enroll. Yes, I got John and all this. That's fine, but I want to display some confirmation message also like this. Um, you can do something. Um, okay, fine. This practice up to here, and we'll meet tomorrow. Anyway, reactive form is also pending. We'll do this. We'll continue this feedback messages and all in the next class. Okay. So thank you so much. I'm getting some call. Okay. So I'll be back from tomorrow. Okay. Thank you.